Out live and bring you some incredible pictures of a fire. This is on Alvin Street in Orange County. This is just west of the 417. We understand this is near Chapel Hill Cemetery. We don't have a whole lot of information except this is a house fire. And when you see flames like that, you know that fire is fully involved and not even close to being contained, because those flames are burning bright and red and they are shooting into the sky right now.
Yeah, a lot of times by the time Sky 6 gets to the scene, it's smoky and we can see some spraying in there. So firefighters are obviously on the scene, actively fighting this fire. But these flames are high right now, and and they have obviously done some serious damage to that house. You can see just a shell of one of the rooms there, and it looks like this house is going to be a complete loss. And this fire is still raging right now. Not sure what kind of fuel it has, but those flames are above the treetops, and that is another concern there. You can see a lot of trees in this area, so these firefighters have to work to keep these flames from spreading to these nearby trees, which could maybe catch on to the neighbors. And I can even see to the kind of right middle of the picture, you can see some flames kind of down on the ground there.
And you know, when you see flames this orange and that hot, you know, it seems like, I don't want to, maybe some kind of accelerant or some kind of fuel is burning in that as well. And also, we've been hearing from Chief Meteorologist Tom Sorrells that the humidity is relatively low out there right now, something like 36%. So the air is very dry, and that also helps this fire burn in these conditions. And we haven't had rain for a few days, so you know things are pretty crisp out there. If you've seen your own lawn, you know how dry it is out there. I'm not sure what the wind conditions are, but just based on the flames, it's not terribly windy out there, so that might be helping firefighters. They seem to be getting the upper hand on part of it because you see the smoke starting to come through a little bit. But man, those flames are really burning.
That they are. Now, to give you some perspective, if you're not sure where Chapel Hill Cemetery area is, which you probably don't, I would say 417 and Colonial is sort of the neighborhood. It's just to the north of Colonial there. Where it meets 417. There are some car dealerships in the area, but then this is in a neighborhood, obviously. And you can see that they have been able to make some progress. We've only been here for a minute or two, and that front room was on fire. Now it looks like they've kind of pushed that fire back to maybe the back of the house, but you can see it's just sticks. There's just framing there is all that's left from this intense fire burning. I can see one hose, if you look right in the middle there, fighting this fire, and you can see firefighters making some good work here just in the last couple of seconds, making some good progress. These really high flames are turning more into that thick black smoke and that light gray. That light gray is really what we want to see as this progresses.
And we're starting to see a lot more of that. We've only been on this for a couple of minutes, and the picture has changed dramatically since we first started bringing you these live pictures from Sky 6. And you know, firefighters, that's why they do what they do. They have a strategy in fighting this and taking it from room to room or just one corner of the house to the other corner. What we don't know in this situation, and we hope that no one was in this house, or if, you know, we hope it wasn't occupied when this fire started. So we don't have that information just yet, but we do know. It looks like those flames are starting to fight back, by the way. It looked a little grayer with the smoke earlier, just seconds ago, and now it's starting to burn a little bit more on that corner that they're starting to
it's raging back and forth here. You can certainly see all those green trees around. Those flames are uncomfortably close to there for me, and you can see to the right how some of the grass or something on the ground is on fire. Now seeing two hoses in the shot as these firefighters try to put this thing down and get a good angle on it at the moment. Tom Sorrells pulled up the wind speeds for us here in Orlando in the area of this 17 miles an hour, which is
it's become breezy.
Yeah,
that is not good for firefighters as they're trying to put this thing down. That'll certainly fuel and fan those flames.
Yeah, something else not good for them right now. We know that it is a hot one out there. Even though the humidity is low, the temperature is pretty high out there. And so these guys have to face these flames in their firefighting gear. So you know it's pretty intense while they're doing that. And this has been burning for a little while now. And just when you think they have the upper hand on it, the flames there on the left-hand side of the screen seem to keep bouncing back, and it seems like maybe there's something else burning in that corner that they just can't seem to douse right now.
Yeah, you never know what could be going on if something, who knows, caught a gas line or something. But hey, look at that. Those big flames, they went out and then they went back again. Hey, if you're just tuning in here to News 6, maybe you saw that thick smoke near the 417 and Highway 50. Take a look at this traffic camera. You can see it just billowing from this home. If you're wondering what's going on, the questions we have right now, we do not know how this started. We are praying that no one was in that house when it started, but we do know firefighters are actively fighting this. It's looking a lot better just in the last 5 minutes since we've been on it.
Yeah.
You can see the flames kind of popping in and popping out. This is the difficult dance these firefighters have to do in situations like this. But when we took this 5 minutes ago, the entire house was covered in at least 10-foot high flames coming off of it. And now you can see, unfortunately, as those flames are going out in these rooms, that this house is just gone.
It's going to be a complete loss, and you see significant damage there. And this is the challenge when we tell you that firefighters are staying on scene to monitor hot spots. These spots continue to flare up.
Look at that.
That part makes me feel like there is some sort of accelerant or some kind of fueling that fire, and the wind at 17 miles per hour fanning those flames. So that's not a good situation to have, especially on a very arid day like we're seeing right now, because the humidity is low out there. And those flames keep coming back through, even though firefighters have been steadily dousing it with a good stream of water there, especially at the left-hand side of the screen with the fire. That thing has been coming back again and again, just when you would see a bunch of smoke billowing out, which would tell you they have the upper hand on it. The flames continue to stay alive and come roaring back in this. Again, we still don't know if anyone was home when this fire broke out, or if it's even a home that was occupied, if it's an abandoned home or not. We just don't have that information. But once again, this is a little bit northwest of the 417 near Colonial, in an area called, I think is it Chapel Hill Cemetery, if you don't know where that area is?
And I'm looking at it from Google Maps here, and while it almost looks very lush and maybe rural, there are a lot of houses in this neighborhood.
And that is the worry when you have a fire like this continuing to burn as brightly and as high as this fire is burning. It really has calmed down quite a bit, but the concern is it keeps flaring up, especially that last bit you see right there. They'll get the upper hand on it, and all of a sudden, it will just come roaring back.
Yeah, it is strange because we cover these fires a lot, and half the time we'll get onto it, and a minute or two in, those firefighters will crush those flames. This thing, they've had this, it almost appeared to be out at one point, and then it just came roaring back with lots of strength. So it looks like, I can't tell if that's the back of the house or the front of the house, but that particular area, they are struggling to get a hold on. We can see at least 2 streams of water heading in there. They were able to knock it down pretty quickly for the rest of the house, but that area right there, it's hard to really put it to scale as to how high these flames are, but if those are 20-foot tall trees, those flames are coming off the house another 10 feet.
At least. And so you don't know if the part that's burning, because the house is basically just a shell of itself right now. And so you don't know if that's an extended part with an attic or something burning, because a lot of times you will have fires that smolder in an attic part of a house, and then all of a sudden it just comes burning through. But this has been going for a little bit now. And usually by the time we get on scene, you'll see just white smoke and the last remnants of what was a big fire, but this thing has continued to burn.
One thing to keep an eye on there, you see the big flames, and then to the left of it, it almost seems like some smaller flames might be sort of creeping out here. So firefighters' main concern right now, this house is a goner, but they want to try to keep this thing from spreading to any of these trees nearby, any other homes. So you can see the main issue right in the middle there, the flames, but they're going to be keeping an eye on these little ancillary fires as well, these little hot spots to the side. Can't we zoom out to Sky 6 to get, they're zooming out for us. You can see.
Just to see what else is around.
If you're anywhere near the Orlando metro area, this smoke, you're wondering what is going on.
If you're driving and seeing this, it's going to be alarming.
And you can see plenty of buildings around. You can see all sorts of fuel for a fire to possibly spread. and these flames just keep raging. I keep thinking we're going to be done with this, and it
Yes.
just starts looking worse.
Which again, we've covered all kinds of fires in our careers. We've covered chemical fires, and you know those things can smolder and burn for quite some time. That's a Sky 6 zooming out
us a
and giving
good
us
look,
some
yeah.
perspective as to where it is. You don't want this thing to jump across that road there, and you don't want it to spread to nearby homes or any nearby buildings. But it looks like they just cannot get it completely out.
And as you can see, I think that road right there is the 417 is what it looks like. So we're right near the 417 and Colonial. Fortunately, the way the wind is blowing, it is blowing that smoke to the west, away from that big, huge highway that is the 417. Unfortunately, that wind may be fueling this, or maybe there's something underneath there that's just giving this thing some extra oomph, because this same little area here is just, and it looks like they were able to get a little closer with the hoses. You can kind of see them. They've switched angles to try to target this thing from a different direction.
Boy, now we've been on this for almost 10 minutes now or so, and these flames have been as intense as I've seen them from the beginning. And it looks like it's starting to flare up even more once again. They had the upper hand on it, and we saw a lot of smoke, but now that thing is raging back. Again, this is in Alvin Street in Orange County, just west of the 417, I believe, in Colonial. This is really not a good situation because it is windy out there, and we know that the conditions have been bone dry for the past few days.
Yeah, and you could see from the smoke on our traffic camera on the left there that this is getting some attention from all over the Orlando area, and it's just that smoke is pouring out. We can see,
and you want to see the smoke because that means they're putting the flames out, but you're still seeing a lot of flames.
I think
as well.
our photographer in the helicopter was maybe that might be the fire rescue's drone, where they're trying to get a better look at this thing to possibly get a handle on it.
Yeah.
But it is amazing to me. It's like a torch. This thing, the way it's blowing off of that. It almost would look like a gas line or something that's caught on fire here.
Definitely, there's some fuel fanning these flames right now, and we are also told that Orange County does have a heat-seeking drone, and I guess trying to get a better look, a better handle on what they're dealing with, because these guys go in and sometimes they have no idea what they're going to be up against, but they have to prepare for almost any scenario.
Okay, so again, this is Alvin Street, 417, Highway 50, right near, there's a Greenway dealership there, and hey, we're seeing a little white smoke as they attack it from a different angle. We're gonna stay on this for you. We're gonna take a quick break, and as soon as we come back, we'll check in. Oh, no, we're not taking a break, actually. We're gonna stick with this because I'm sure people in that neighborhood are wanting to know if this thing is gonna go out, or God forbid it spread or something like that.
We're now understanding it's Trevarthen Road, not Alvin Road, that this is on. But still, the situation remains pretty critical here because those flames are not out yet, and we've been on this for a while now. Our first pictures, all flames. So it's good news that we're starting to see the smoke billowing out. But the bad news is they cannot seem to get the last vestiges of this thing put out. They can't just seem to snuff it out.
And you could see that smoke just pouring over onto the neighbors there, away from the 417, which is good news. If you look to the left, down to the south there, that would be Colonial Drive if you headed down a little ways, just to give you some perspective on this. And every time we zoom in, I keep expecting some of those flames to be out, but obviously there's a little extra something going on in this case, just in this one corner of this home. Now, if you're just tuning in, that smoke is covering the shell of the rest of the house, which has just been torched. But obviously there's still some fuel left, and it must be fairly powerful because there's at least 2 streams of firefighter water that keep hitting this, and it's just telling these flames nothing right now.
Yeah, and earlier we told you that winds in Orlando are about 17 miles per hour, so that is some good fuel to fan those flames. And again, not knowing exactly what is burning down there besides what was left of the house, but it seems like something is fueling at least the last bit of the flames that they just can't seem to get the upper hand on.
So as we're taking a look at this and taking a look at how they're fighting this, we're trying to get a better look at the angles. We have seen a drone around this fire. We spotted the drone from Sky 6. We've done investigative reports in the past about how Orange County Fire has been using drones. They've started in 2017. So their technology is in use. If you see that little thing flying around in this area.
All right. If you're just joining us now, you're watching this breaking news happening. This fire that has been burning for about 15 minutes or so now. But if you're just joining us, you're watching News 6 at 6 o'clock.
All right, so as we continue to take a look at this, we're going to keep an eye on it for you because, in situations like this, I know folks who live near this neighborhood are certainly worried about this situation, want to know what's going on, and anybody who's seeing that huge plume of black smoke is wondering what's going on as well. So we're going to stick with this for a little bit, certainly until they get this out and get a handle on this thing, which they are really struggling with. And we're not quite sure why. In these situations, firefighters are busy fighting this thing, so they don't have time to answer our questions at the moment, and we don't want to speculate, but you can certainly tell from looking above, this isn't your normal everyday house fire. There is some sort of fuel.
Yeah.
This thing would have been out by now easy with the amount of resources firefighters have put into it. Fortunately, it has not spread. But it certainly is a difficult situation for these firefighters.
Yeah, it has to be difficult for them because, they don't know what they're walking into. They have to prepare for the worst case scenario. But on a day like today where it's in the 90s, and we've seen the past few days where we've been in the 90s, humidity levels low, so they're not getting any help from nature as far as rain or anything or any sort of moisture in the air. And also to add insult to injury, it's a little bit windy out there.
Yeah, 17 miles an hour is what Tom Sorrell's map says right now that he's showing us, and it's 17 miles an hour headed toward the west. So that's certainly helping the visibility on the 417, fortunately for those folks, but it's just blowing that smoke all the way to the west there, and we can see all these trees around. Fortunately, it doesn't look like there are any houses in the near vicinity of this one, but there are a lot of houses in this particular area. You're not going to go half a block or a few acres without seeing another house here.
Yeah, and you have to be concerned too because we saw that heat-seeking drone and you wonder if they were thinking there was a possibility that someone may have been in there. Hopefully that is not the case, but Matt, as you mentioned, we've done investigative pieces. I know our Mike Holfeld has done stories with firefighters in this case and how it helps firefighters know exactly where to go in so they don't put themselves in any extra danger, but then they know if there's someone in there and if they need to go in for a rescue type situation.
Yeah, a lot of times it can do some 3D mapping and situations like that, and the drone might still be there. It might be in the smoke right now doing some work, if that is in fact the Orange County Fire's drone, which we know they use that technology sometimes.
Sure.
So I always look in these situations at the color of the smoke when it gets to be more light white or gray.
That's good news.
It usually means things are going better.
Usually.
This is, again, you can see from this way pulled out shot, and there are a big cluster of houses just to the left, which would be the south in this case. But you can still see flames as clear as day from up here.
But that is a greatly improved picture from when we first started bringing you these live pictures from Sky 6, because at first there was no smoke at all, just bright orange flames burning. But now seeing the white smoke, it tells you a little bit about the condition of the fire now, that it appears to mostly be out, but you can still look underneath there and you still see some orange flames just barely shooting through right there. See, we highlighted, that's a good highlight right there.
I didn't even know we could do that.
I didn't even know that we could telestrate like that. But there you see where those flames are right now. So it's not out completely. They are still trying to knock this thing down, but they really have a good handle on it. You just have to wonder what's fueling this last bit of fire there.
Yeah, it is a strange situation from what we normally cover. But this is a very cool mapping aspect we have to Sky 6 here as you take a look. So there's Trevarthen Road, there's 417. If you see that blue line, that's Colonial. And so this is right there, it's on Alvin Street. And so this gives you a little Econ Greenway. You can see that kind of canal back there as well. As if you're wondering exactly where this is, and that's the 417 right there going across.
And I
the
know
Broad.
we're trying to get in touch with some, Orange County firefighters and rescue to figure out exactly the situation on the ground there. And I'm positive we have crews who are headed to that scene, because the things we do not know are, was this home occupied at the time? Was there anyone there? Is it a home that has maybe been abandoned, or just no one's there? We hope that no one was inside, because just seeing those flames and seeing the house that is just now a shell of what it was when we first started bringing you these images, it would be devastating.
Yeah, and they're certainly going to do an investigation on this and try to figure out what the fuel was, what started this fire. Sometimes that can take a day, sometimes it can take a week. We'll certainly let you know as soon as we find out. A lot of questions about this fire. Why is it raging so hard, even despite the fact that firefighters have been fighting it for maybe 20 minutes now? Can we zoom back in, Sky 6? I would love to see, because from here it's looking like things are looking better, but I'm hesitant to even say it at this point because the thing keeps flaring back up.
But it looks like the smoke is even starting to thin out a little bit, because it was heavy, thick black smoke in the beginning when they started getting it under control, and now that smoke has turned into white grayish color, which is always great news when you're fighting a fire like this.
We're seeing some real improvement here. Oh, well.
and there are those flames.
And then right when that white smoke moves by, we can see some flames. Certainly smaller flames, though. And when we saw that big view, I was relieved to see that this is not a really highly concentrated zero lot line neighborhood. There's some space between these homes, which gives the firefighters a little leeway here to work. We'd like to bring in Mike Holfeld, our investigator. Mike, I know you've covered these situations a lot, and I know you've done a lot of stories. We've seen that drone flying around. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, that's why they're bringing me in. First of all, let me tell everyone, you're going to have hot spots. And what they're going to use the drone for is to get a sense of the heat, the intensity of the heat, and it's basically the eyes to protect the firefighters, the first responders are there, so they don't put themselves at risk. I'm trying to take a look at this to see. We do have that hot spot in the middle. And Matt, fill me in here. Have they poured water on it at all? Have they set up a perimeter, or are they still on the outside?
Yeah, you can see once in a while when the smoke subsides, we've seen two streams of water coming in from different angles to hit this thing. And they were able to get down maybe 3/4 of this house fairly easily. But there's this one corner of the home that just keeps on popping up with flames.
Right.
And you can see it right there, even though some smoke will cover it.
That's going to continue, Matt. Yeah. You see that? Here's another hot spot right here. So despite the water, what they're trying to do is basically break down the perimeter. What the drone lends it to is the seeing eyes for our firefighters, our first responders. There, the water's pouring in now.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll be able to see inside if there are people inside, if there are people down, where the intense heat pockets are. And that's why they introduced this drone technology probably a year ago now, but we've done several stories on it. It's tremendous. They also, as I recall, can detect chemicals. So if we're going to get a sense of what started this, what the ignition point is, the drone will give them that. And we noticed it in the perimeter from above, and from that vantage point, it helps them determine how to move next. See how they're breaking it down now, and you see where the flames are? This is the strategy. They slowly break down the building, figure out, this building's finished, ladies and gentlemen. This building's finished. And let's just hope that there was no one inside. But that's the strategy they're using. I thought we were going to get someone from Orange County Fire on the line to give us a briefing on that. Do we have anyone yet? No. Okay, that's all right. I've worked with them so long, I feel like I am a first responder.
Yeah, exactly. And so, Mike, tell us a little bit. Now, you talk about that heat-seeking drone. Would it be able to tell the difference between a hot spot in the house and, say, maybe a person's body heat?
Yes. Oh, yes. I've been on the training sessions. There's no doubt about it. We can see if there are people inside. The smoke will probably make it difficult, and you notice they had the drone above as our viewers were watching. So it's difficult for the drone to zero in, but as it gets closer, there's no question about it. We will have heat signatures there, and we will be able to see if there are people down on the ground. I've seen this. It's phenomenal technology, and it works. And this, of course, keeps our firefighters safe so they don't get too close to that and put themselves at risk. With the drone, they get the intel from the people that are there using that to figure out what they should do next. What's the strategy they should employ to break that building down, get this thing over with without putting our guys at risk.
And it also lets them know they don't have to run into that burning building if they don't have to save a person.
Agreed. And my sense is the way they're handling this, I don't think there's anyone inside because they're working to extinguish this efficiently. They've built the perimeter, and let's just pray I'm right on this. I don't think the way they're handling this that we have people inside.
Well, all we can do is hope right now. So it looks like the bulk of the fire that was right in the middle of this house that just kept flaring up, it looks like they've finally been able to mostly get a handle on that. But you can see this thing spreading. It is creeping to the south of the home. Looks like it's caught fire in that grass right now, and it's starting to edge its way a little further away from the house. So firefighters are gonna have to kind of get through those trees and get an angle. You can see the hoses spraying just to the right. And as they have to try to get a handle on that main fire, they also are going to have to keep an eye on those flames spreading to the south.
And what you don't want is that fire going into brush, as dry as it is right now, and then, boy, you talk about adding fuel to the fire. That's what you don't want.
That's right, Ginger. Point well taken. And they will do that. They will saturate that area and see how the perimeter is breaking now. As Matt noted, the flame is moving a little bit there, screen left, but they'll get to it. They'll extinguish it. I'm trying to figure out where they have the drone positioned now. My sense is that it's not close yet, and they're not getting the heat readings that I was talking to you about. Think of it like a science fiction movie. If you're seeing an X-ray of a building, that's exactly how it works. It actually sees through the building, and there are heat signatures there. My sense is the way they're moving at this, I don't think we have people inside, but I could be absolutely wrong as well. The first thing, of course, is to distinguish the fire and keep our first responders safe. Mike Jackal's on the line. Michael, we've been watching this fire with Matt and Ginger. Can you give us a sense of what's going on right now? Have you been able to determine, do we have people inside?
Right now, we know that one woman that was inside is out. Orange County Fire Rescue has about 45 firefighters on scene fighting this blaze. It's about a 2,000 square foot house that's fully involved.
Any
I'm
idea?
just walking up to the scene myself here.
Okay, have you guys set up a perimeter, Michael? Where do you have your 45 set up?
Well, this house is in a remote area. It's down a dirt road. So while it's not affecting traffic directly, there is a portion of a nearby roadway that is shut down, and this is visible from 417. So you're probably getting a lot of calls from people that see that smoke in the area of 417, a couple miles south of Colonial.
This is Ginger Gadsden. Do you know what is fueling the flames we've seen? Because it seems like the firefighters would have it under control, and then all of a sudden it would just come raging back.
What we do know is that apparently there's a heavy fire load inside the house. There's a lot of contents in the house, so certainly that can cause more fire. It can cause more flare-ups because of the contents.
The woman you talked to, Michael, were you able to confirm that she was the only one inside?
I have not personally spoken to her. I know that we've accounted for her. I can actually check with our command officer right now.
Great, yes.
Hey, Mike, as you're getting into that neighborhood right now, you said it's a little bit more rural. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, right now we just have confirmation that the one woman that we know of is outside. We're attempting to determine if there was anybody else inside at the time, but we don't have that confirmed.
Why is the drone being employed? Were you trying to get heat signatures around the building? How was that helping the firefighters?
Orange County Fire Rescue has a drone unit. They use different types of technologies, including forward-looking infrared or FLARE. They also use thermal imaging, and this gives us good indications as to where a fire is moving, where it's progressing. So that helps coordination with the ground crews, and also gives us an overhead view rather rapidly of the scene.
You've seen these before, Mike. How long you think this is going to take? You guys have their hands full here.
Well, right now there's a lot of smoke still coming, but it looks like they have a pretty good knockdown on the fire. So our units obviously will be on scene probably for most of the night, and we'll maintain a fire watch here even after the fire is out to ensure that there are no rekindles or flare-ups.
And at this point, we're not sure what ignited it, but you think those flare-ups that Ginger alluded to was probably heavy content in the center of the building?
We know that there was a heavy fire load in the building, but as far as the particulars and what those contents were, we're still fighting the fire. That's something that we would have the cause and origin team in here from the State Bureau of Fire and Arson Investigations to determine. So we're still putting out the fire. We wouldn't speculate on the cause right now, and certainly they'll look at all the different factors as part of their investigation.
All right, Mike, great work. Stay safe out there and keep us posted. Good talking to you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, Mike Jackals, Mike Holfeld, thank you guys for the help with this. It looks like they have a much better handle on this fire. Sounds like there was one woman inside. They managed to get her out.
Thank
We'll keep an
goodness.
eye on this as the investigation into how this fire started continues.
Because they still have a fight on their hands.
Yeah.
It's not completely out just yet, and we will be dealing with hot spots probably for the better part of this evening. 45 firefighters on scene. That seems like
Big
a
crew.
fairly large presence,
Yeah.
but the house is a large one as well.
And it took a lot of resources
Yeah.
to get that out.